We are on.
Oh,
Alrighty. Brilliant.
excellent.
It's slow. My eyes are shut. Both of us have our eyes shut. I'm not sure if it's running, if it's,
Okay.
it says it's happening now. So hopefully we
can
look
both-
great. We're both close.
Glamorous.
I've been looking forward to this, and I know that I had so many emails, and I've had cats, and I talk about my cats, and I've had them for a long time, and I've sort of talked on and off about what I've fed and just things going on with them, and I'm always getting emails from people. They're so interested. So thank you for coming on, Ruth. For those of you that don't know you, Ruth Hatten, you're a pet naturopath and nutritionist.
Yes, that is correct.
And you help clients, obviously you help clients with their animals. And I know, do you do massage as well and Reiki?
I do massage and Reiki, yeah.
Yeah, but your main thing is you help owners, pet parents transition their pets over to a raw food diet. And that's where you put a lot of your energy and help people do that, because I know that can be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I mean, diet is number one. Even when pet parents come to me with animals who've got conditions, diagnosed or not, and there's a bit of a, being an animal naturopath, I'm not a vet, so I can't legally, at least in Queensland, I think it is Australia-wide, no one is allowed to advise on a diagnosed condition except for a veterinarian.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
But you would know yourself as a naturopath, we don't look at just a condition or symptoms. We look at the whole body. So if someone was to come, I mean, one of the questions we've got here today is about kidney health. So if someone was to come to me and says, my cat has kidney failure, what have you, then I would say, well, glaringly, obviously, the kidneys need support. So what can we do to support those kidneys, as well as looking at the whole body? And that's where, Alex is on. Hello, Alex. And Amy says we both look wonderful. Thank you, Amy.
We were both whinging about the cold.
Getting blood to our faces make us, but yeah, so it is about supporting the whole body. Obviously, diet plays a huge part in optimum wellness and in good health, and people who are on your page will know that. I mean, if you follow a naturopath, you're interested in what you're eating, like whole food, clean diet. And it's like a lot of the things that I do are exactly the same and are very similar to the way that a human would ensure that they're the best health that they have the best health that they can. And number one is you've got to sort out your diet. So it's exactly the same for, our cats and dogs. Like, if they have a health condition or if they don't, let's use examples. If they have a health condition and you go and you give drugs or whatever, or maybe you try some natural alternatives. But if the diet is still a heavily I've got some cats here.
Perfect interruption.
This is my cat. See, if the diet, hello, come and say hello to the people. Hello. So if the diet is still like average, what average people feed, heavily or majority feed heavily processed diet, then it's going to be so much harder to fix the health condition because the foundations are not solid.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same, and it's exactly the same for people. People will go to their GP, and the GP is maybe not well versed in nutrition, so they will suggest, they might suggest something that's not as healthy. And it's the same for vets. Vets aren't really, they're not as well versed as you. So this is what you studied. You studied the whole nutrition, and it's really like being you went through the years, and it's like being a naturopath for humans. It's that rigorous training.
Yeah, well, it's not as rigorous, I will say that, because, I mean, in Australia, there are only 2 animal naturopath courses, right? And then there's international courses. But even then, certainly the nutrition component of my course, I would say, is more rigorous and more thorough than if a vet has just done standard, veterinary science degree. They might do like a semester or a year of nutrition. I don't even know because I haven't done veterinary science, but I've spoken to vets about it, and the training on nutrition is like GP. It's very minimal. And for anyone who's heard any of my podcasts or whatever before, I've mentioned it on a couple of them. It's like, I've been to a very prominent vet school and plastered, I don't know if it still is, this was some years back, but plastered all over the vet school was branding of a very popular prescription food. And the the individual who taught the nutrition component of the course was a representative from this pet food company. So, you know, the biases, the invested interests that happen in the human medical world also happen in the, you know, the animal medical world, the veterinary world. So it's very concerning. And, you know, we're only really starting to get traction in terms of, you know, the human side of things. Like, we've been going at this for a very, very long time. Transparency, what's your research, what's your, you know, what's in the foods, where does it come from, all that kind of stuff. You know, it's much more mainstream than it used to be, but it's still not mainstream. Most people are still not subscribed.
Most people don't know. Yeah.
Live, yeah. So animals, it's even still way behind.
And I think because of those prescription diets you're talking about, because they are advertised at the vets and because they're expensive, I know when I've talked to people, if people have said, oh, you know, what do you feed your animals? And I'll say a raw food diet, and we'll get to that in a moment. Yeah. And if I say, what are you feeding them? They say, oh, not raw food, but I feed them an expensive diet. It's expensive.
High quality,
but you look at those ingredients and you just, that's the problem. But one of the biggest issues they have, and this was actually, I got this question so many times, is the difficulty transitioning. So it could be on a dry food or it could be wet food, but pet owners have such a issue with transitioning pets over to raw food. I know that's one of the biggest things. So like, how do you fill that gap? What happens there, and what's the biggest thing you need to work on?
And cats are the hardest to transition. You know, I've got my own, obviously. When I transitioned them years ago, 2014, I think it was, when I first started my studies. And I have a number of clients who have, you know, cats, and it's been, you know, sometimes it can be very challenging. The main thing is patience. I say it when I have my calls with my potential clients. It's kind of like, I don't interview them, but it's a lot of times it will come up. You have to have patience and commitment. You know, like that's important. If you're not patient, if you don't have the commitment level that's needed, then you're unlikely to get results. Yeah. So it is about going really slowly. And I do have a diet transition plan that steps through, and basically I work on 10% increments. So 10% new food replaces 10% of the current food. Every 2 to 3 days, you increase by another 10%, unless there are digestive symptoms. The most common is diarrhea. If there's diarrhea, you're transitioning too fast, you're introducing too much of the new food too soon. You got to dial it back. So following 10% increments every 2 to 3 days, if there are no digestive systems, takes about 2.5 weeks to completely transition. But I've got some cat patients that took significantly longer than 2 to 3 weeks to transition. And they're not even on fully raw yet. That was just getting them onto a high quality, legitimately high quality, moist food. Right. Yeah.
So you're fully mix it in. You've got and you're the document you've got, it talks about that, but you'll kind of just try and mix it in so they've got their old food that they're used to, and then slowly they'll get used to the new stuff.
Yeah. With cats though, I will say, if they're on a dry food diet, sometimes I had to do it. I mean, part of the reason I just did it this way was because one of my cats had a health condition, which I'm happy to talk about, you know. But I was like, that's it. Dry food is out of this house, going away. There's no transitioning out of this dry food because it's got to be gone, you know. Yeah. And the thing is, also, it can be harder to do the transition with cats if the dry food stays in the house. They can smell it. Cats are very smart. They're very clever. They'll be like, I'm not eating because I can smell that food in there, and that's what I want. So you can go away with your fancy new food. I want the dry stuff. It's like junk food for pets. Yeah. So sometimes I'll say initially, maybe just you can use it as, I leave a lot of it up to the client. You can try it as a transitionary food, do it as transitioning, but if it doesn't work, then just get it out. We can transition dried. So we might use like an air dried alternative, and combine that in with the current dried. But if they're not having success, then it's like you've got to get that dried food out of the house.
Right. Okay. That's a good tip.
To throw it out, but maybe put it in your car or in the garage, somewhere where your cat cannot go or smell it, really. So, yeah, it can be a bit challenging that way. And normally if they've been on a dry diet, the dry diet or even a wet diet or a combination of two, they are a cooked diet. So sometimes, and this will depend upon the animal, I may say, let's go from processed cooked first. Let's transition in fresh cooked. When we've got the animal straight on, all on 100% fresh cooked, then we can start transitioning in raw. It really does depend on what's going on with the animal. So, yeah, there is a process, and, yeah, it depends on your animal whether it's going to be easy or not.
But definitely cats are creatures of habit. But it's worth the patience, because when I adopted one of my cats back in 2000, she's passed now, but back in about 2004, she came to us with awful arthritis. The arthritis was terrible. She was all awful. And so we did a raw food diet. And I have to say, getting her then in 2004, we didn't have any health problems with her. Her joints completely got better. I mean, just the movement, I mean, the transition. And it does save you money because you're not constantly going to the vet all the time.
Yeah.
It's worth it. It's worth the patience.
Yeah.
So another thing I find a lot of, I didn't have this problem with my cats. My cats, touch wood, their kidneys were fine. But I've got friends and clients and colleagues who talk about their cats with kidney issues. And there are lots of different kinds of kidney issues. Sometimes it's crystals. Sometimes it's cystitis, bleeding. There was a question about kidney failure, all of these kind of things. What's going on there, and how can you support that?
Yeah, I've been through it myself. So, and I'm actually, let's see if I can talk about this, because I was crying this morning. I've got this obsession with straightening myself in front of this camera. Don't move, Ruth, stay still. So yeah, kidneys. I touched on this before. So one of my cats, Elvie, Elvie, Naomi. My youngest, my biggest, he's like my rugby player.
Beautiful.
He had for a number of years struvite crystals. Yeah. So this is very common, especially in male cats. And normally it is due to having a dehydration. So particularly, and all kidney issues, I mean, there can be various contributing factors, but dehydration is a very common one. So that might come from eating a solely dry diet or half dry, half wet. Yeah, so cats specifically have these problems. They're desert animals. They get their moisture from their food. Some cats are good drinkers and they will drink freely, or other ones will just drink on a hot day. But just if they're on dry food and drinking, they're probably still not getting the moisture that they need. So when there isn't enough moisture, their kidneys can start to fail. And so then you might get crystals, or you might get kidney failure. So with the crystals, and male cats are more prone, and they can grow out of it. Mine has grown out of it, thank goodness. Plus we did quite a bit of work around it. But he's like, I spoke to a number of vets across the country, because my local vet was just like, feed this dry food or operate to cut off his penis. I'm like, excuse me. They knew I was like working. I was an animal nutritionist then. I wasn't qualified as animal naturopath, but I was certainly qualified then seeing clients. And they knew what I did. And I said, no way in hell, I would never recommend this food to my clients, and I will never, ever feed it to my own cat, because you're basically swapping out one health condition with another. And I said to him, this is not a nutritional issue. This is from stress. This is my cat's response to stress, right? Bladder, if you know anything about, TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, bladder is associated with fear. So when it first happened, he was on dry food, but then dry food out of the house. That's when I threw out the dry. I'm like, that's it, no more dry, moist. And it also did coincide with me going away to Africa for a month, just got a new dog, animal sitting. So there was a stressful component then, as well as the dry food. But then it flared up again when I moved house. It didn't get to the point where he needed to be have a catheter and on fluids and all that kind of thing, thank heavens. But then when it really got problematic was in 2017, when I was living in a house with an ex-partner, and we were renovating. And there were loads of tradies around making a shitload of noise with their big boots and walking on the roof. And he was so scared. And now he has this fear. As soon as he sees a ute, he's like, I'm out of here. You know, he doesn't have he's got this ongoing fear around tradies, and ongoing fear around men generally, but especially ones with big boots. Yeah. So sorting it out for me was, and, you know, one of the vets I spoke with, who's quite a prominent Australian vet, was like, he shouldn't have this with the diet he's on. It's like, I know that, but that's where the stress is relevant too, the animal's environment. It's not just about diet. You know, at the beginning I was saying, yes, diet is super, super important, but it doesn't stop there. What's your animal's environment like? Are they stressed? Are they getting enough, you know, well, moisture, obviously, but is there some, and stress for animals can be different than stress for us. You know, any change in routine is a stressor, whether it's a dietary change, whether it's renovating a house, whether it's getting a new pet. These are all, you know, whether your work hours have changed. These are all things that can have be a stressor to your animal and can present with these conditions. Kidney failure, on the other hand, is more associated with it can be dehydration, it can be toxicity. So really important to look at what is your animal's toxic load, what household chemicals are you using, what chemicals are you using in the garden. Get rid of those nasty pesticides, the glyphosate stuff and all Roundup and all that shit, because it can be very damaging for your animals, let alone, you know, yourself. But, you know, they're much smaller than us, so they can absorb and be affected at a much greater level than us. What food do you feed them? Chemicals in their food. All of these things can be toxicity. Heavy metals, are they exposed to heavy metals? Again, what's in their food? What chemicals are you using? And then other things can be like kidney infections, inflammation. All of these things can result in renal failure. Sometimes it can be because of none of those things. And one thing I want to touch on that's become quite relevant to me of late is, I mean, not relevant to me because I say it to clients all the time, you also have to look at you. It's not just about treating the animal. You also have to look at your own stuff, because our animals pick up on our energy and we can make our animals sick because of our toxic energy, yeah? So for me, you know, we all carry stuff. My eldest, who's sitting here beside me at my desk, her kidney levels are, this is not dehydration, right? She has never had an infection. I did some testing with toxicity. There's no toxicity there. And I went and saw someone yesterday and he was like, you know, and it brought it all front and center to me. Stuff, you know, because there's really no reason. I mean, she's a purebred, so purebreds can be more prone to these nasty things. Lucky for me, I know what to do physically to help her. I'll be making up some herbs and giving her some herbs to help with kidneys, and some of those herbs. With herbs, it can be difficult for me, and you would appreciate this, Naomi. It can be difficult for me to just say, give this herb. It's not as straightforward as that. It's generally never a one size fits all equation. A herb that may work for one animal or, you know, swap out human may not work for another. You also need to pay attention to their constitution. I do look at the energetics of the herbs as well. So if an animal is running hot, then I will, you know, formulate a remedy that's going to suit that constitutional, those energetics as well. But some really great, you know, I can give you generally like some really great herbs for supporting the kidneys, and at least 3 that are going to go into the blend that I make for mine is astragalus, ginkgo, and milk thistle. They're very supportive of the kidneys. With the crystals, and also the moist diet is still really important. So my cat, she still has some ziwi peak air dried. But I'm really, really minimising that now. If there's any kidney failure, you have to remove all dried food out of the diet. Even if it's a raw air dried, it's still drying. The kidneys need moisture, yeah? So, you know, good fats like MCT oil is a really good fat to add to the diet if your cat or your dog has renal failure. antioxidant support like vitamin C. Any state where there's stress, vitamin C is brilliant. Cats and dogs own, but if they're in a state of stress, and even aging is a stressor for the body, then vitamin C can be indicated. Essential fatty acids, I don't know if I said that already, but yeah, moistness, fats, good healthy fats. Whole food diet, of course, is important. And again, like I say, eliminating potential toxicities, looking at your own stuff.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of things you touched on that we don't think about, but just so if you know your cat's got existing kidney issues and you already feed a raw food diet, would it be sensible then to add a bit more moisture to that? So you add the water in with the food a little bit more, so they're getting that.
What I do with I've always added water to all of my cat's food anyway, even with the raw. But in terms of adding more moisture, like although I forgot to do it this morning, I am only human. I forget to, just like my clients do, adding, MCT oil.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So adding those good healthy fats, because it's really focusing on, and this part of this goes into TCM as well, is if there's a kidney deficiency, then it's all about moist.
Do you have the herbal blends people can buy from you? Is that something that you
so I have some stock standard ones. Like I do have a detox one that doesn't require a consultation or anything. I'm looking at putting a travel sickness one available. Nice. But otherwise I'm in the process of building a very small shop on my website. I will be putting on there my bespoke herbal formulas, so people can order those online. They don't need to have a consult with me.
Right, yeah.
So they can say, my animal has this. I may, email them and ask for more specifics, or get them to fill out a questionnaire and things like that, so I can make it, it's called a bespoke herbal formula, so it's going to be bespoke to the animal. But yeah, so they can purchase those from me.
Brilliant. Okay.
They're already doing that raw food diet. But sometimes even if they're already doing a raw food diet, is it adequate? And this is going to depend on what information they're relying upon. There's so much information on the internet, it's not all correct. So, I would generally always say, unless they've had a professional assist them with formulating this diet, I would say, hey, I recommend doing this as well. Totally up to them if they want to or not. But yeah, it pays to do that, because obviously it's the nutritional component for supporting these conditions as well.
Yeah, because if you just give, say, kangaroo meat, there's going to be a lot missing. If it's just that every single day stuff missing.
An animal with renal failure, there's not going to be anywhere near enough fat in there.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't recommend kangaroo anyway, and I'm not going to go into here. I've written a 3-part blog series on my blog. You can check it out there. There are numerous reasons why I don't recommend it. But
no, that's good to know. But no, that's good. So another issue that I found a lot of people had issues with, and this can be expensive because it's oral health, so it's getting problems. And so this is where funny thing happened with me. I occasionally give little treats, like a little biscuit treat to my cat, because you think that it cleans the teeth. But they eat it whole. They don't even chew it, because when she's sick, the food comes up whole anyway. So that's complete BS. If anyone tells you dry food cleans the teeth anyway.
And it can shatter if they do bite onto it. It just shatters, and powder does not clean teeth.
Doesn't do anything. So oral health, what do they do? Because you have to put your little cats, under sedate, then you have to do the cleaning, and it's like thousands of dollars. So how can they get onto? And it doesn't affect every cat. My cat's never had a problem, but I was talking to a friend of mine, and both her cats on a similar diet had awful bacteria in the mouth, and they had all the gums were bleeding, and it was so bad.
Yeah, I mean, just because it's a raw diet doesn't mean it's going to give them everything that they need. And this is the point that I touched on before is, of course, I'm a professional, so I recommend getting professional assistance, but I actually do believe in it. But even if the diet is great, there still can be oral health issues, and that can be down to genetic or breed disposition. for example, greyhounds are quite prone to having dental issues. Yeah. How were they fed when they were a kitten or a puppy? Can mean a lot. Raw meaty bones are the best way, at least, of cleaning the back teeth.
Mm-hmm.
They don't chew the raw meaty bones with the front teeth. Ensuring that there are chunks of meat. A lot of people who do a home-prepared diet will just feed minced meat. That is not going to be helpful for dental. You've got to feed the chunks. Yes, cats don't chew their food for very long. 3 or 4 bites swallow. That's how a cat, they don't need to chew it from an anatomical point of view. They're an obligate carnivore. Their gut is made to digest and absorb meat. Very, very unlike our digestive system.
Yeah.
Whereas if we eat meat, we should really chew that stuff because, So chunks are so important. So my cats will get some minced meat, and one is a bit problematic. Little rat bag. That was the big brown furry one that came by before. One will have raw meaty bones. Chicken wing tips are the best for cats, so he eats one of those every day. And then they always have bits of diced meat. So just buy the diced meat from the butcher. A little bit of mince. One has more because the one who has more, he's naughty. He doesn't like to eat the chunks. He will. So he's problematic. So as I said, the bones are good for the back teeth, but what about the front teeth? The only really good way is by brushing. Now, cats, a lot of dogs. Again, if you start when you get the animal, if you've already had the animal, they're probably not going to let for a certain period of time. They're probably going to let you brush the teeth. I mean, what the hell are you doing? You can get sprays and things like that. I cannot for the life of me. Imperial Petco does a natural dental spray. It does have deer velvet antler stuff in it. So if anyone like to use animal product, if you've got cats, you're probably feeding them animal products anyway. But that gets very, very good reviews. But then really, apart from raw meaty bones, and you could do your very best, but like with Max, I can do my very best for him, but I can't for the life of me get him to eat as much good dental hygiene food that I would like.
Right.
Yeah. My other 2 cats, they don't touch bones. So what that means is they are going to be more prone to requiring anesthetic cleans.
Mm-hmm.
You can get non-anesthetic cleans. I think they're fine as a form of maintenance, but they are not cheap.
Okay.
I know there's one person, I think they charge $600. So it's the same as if you were going to get an anesthetic clean, more or less. And it's not cleaning as effectively. If there is a tooth infection or a tooth needs to come out or anything like that, or the plaque is quite built up, then I'm not 100% convinced that those non-anesthetics and anesthetic services are going to do the job. So then it's about, okay, I've got to go and fork out the money and get my animal put under anesthetic. How can I help the animal deal with that whole process? Because any time that an animal is under, it does have an impact on the body. Energy, so again, I would say, like I say, with any medication, vaccinations, what have you, a period of detox. I have a detox protocol. So obviously part of that is my detox herb blend that I have. So giving that to help with the body's ability to detox from the anesthetic and any other drugs that are used as part of that process. Some vets will do IV vitamin C injections following. Some vets will do the lowest possible dose of anesthetic that they need to do. Some vets who offer acupuncture, or the other thing is you can go and take your animal to get acupuncture following any of these types of procedures. Nice. To bring the body back into balance. So,
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's really good advice. That the detoxing after, so that's a mix. I'm just stroking my little kitten just here, actually. She's keeping me warm. So you've got that detox formula on your website. Someone's just asked for your website. I'll share your website in a moment.
It's not on the website yet,
but it will be.
It's sitting there in my shop in the back end, but I haven't published the shop yet. But if anyone they can email me, and I'm happy to, or message me or whatever. I'm happy to
With digestive health, one of the things I did, but I did, and it's not something I would do for humans in nutrition, but I had to do it. I had a cat she was coming to the end of her life with cancer, and severely constipated. And I found for her the only thing that worked was adding a little bit of psyllium husk to her diet, and that was the only thing that worked. Now, normally I wouldn't do that because it can be a little bit harsh. But constipation seems to be a common thing with animals. Does that just mean that you amend and you change their raw food ratio and put more fiber in, or are there things that you can look at?
Fiber is definitely important, and it's one of the common mistakes, especially, well, with both dogs and cats. Even cats need fiber. They need a little bit of fiber. Their natural diet is mice. And what do mice eat? Fiber, fiber. If you think back in ancient Egypt, because that's where, cats were very loved and bowed down to, as they should still be. Well, they are in my house, but yes, I'm sure in your house too, Naomi. But grain, right? Or, birds, what do birds eat? Plants. Some birds eat meat, yes. And if they were on a mice-only diet, which is obviously the most natural diet for a cat, but even me, I don't go and collect mice. It's taken a bit too far. They would eat the gut contents of the mice, and so they're going to be getting fiber through the gut contents of the prey animals, yeah? So fiber is really important. For cats, you're looking at 3 to 12% of the diet should be some form of plant matter, fibrous material. Pumpkin, of course, is a good fibrous food, and
they love that. Mine love that. Yummy.
So it's really, my cats are on pumpkin at the moment as the vegetable in their home prepared meals. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, veggies, including pumpkin, psyllium husk, yes, slippery elm as well. So slippery elm is in the same kind of, I would generally go more with, I would generally go more to slippery elm or marshmallow root for constipation than psyllium, because psyllium, both of them have a binding effect, but I find that psyllium, you read it everywhere. They're both meant to be helpful in both constipation and diarrhea. But for me, I think slippery elm, it's
gentler as well. Yeah, and healing. Yeah.
It has more of that mucilaginous aspect. I love marshmallow root is one of my all-time favorite herbs. It smells beautiful. It actually really is like,
it is beautiful herb. But of course, dogs are different because dogs have much more veg. They're more.
That depends. They may not be feeding veg. They may not be getting veg in their diet. And this is what I mean. Like, you can go online and, a prey model diet, for example, depending on which prey model diet, because, even you go and look at what someone says about prey model diet and look what someone else says about it. But some prey model diets, there is no vegetables in there. So just because someone's feeding raw doesn't mean they're feeding their dog veggies.
Right. I've seen you make up your veggies. You spend you're like doing, it's like you're making lunch boxes every day with tons of veggies for your.
Not every day. Right? That's the benefit of doing the batch prepping, is that I don't do it every day because that would do my head in. I do have a recipe, my dog veg recipe, which is recently updated. That's not a freebie though. That is a pay. It's like $5.95 on my website. And that includes lots of other healthy things that you can add in, like chia seeds and flax seeds and all that kind of stuff. It's not just veggies, but good plant food. Whole food diet is obviously good for constipation. Some other herbs as well, yellow dock and licorice are some good herbs that can be beneficial where there's constipation. But again, for those herbs, it will depend on the animal. And and even then you may try all those things and none of those may work. I have a cat. It's so funny. I have a friend who's a vet and she's like, all my animals are fine. It's unfair that vets get all healthy animals. I'm like, hey, I'm not a vet, but my animals all have this stuff going on. And I'm a strong believer that animals are here to help us learn our lessons, and well,
they came to you for a reason.
Helped me learn, but it's like, come on, guys, I'm meant to be, I should have all these healthy pets. People might think, well, if she can't help her own pets, how's she going to help our pets? And this is the thing. It's like, it's not one size fits all. I struggle just as much as everyone else, and they are on a healthy diet. So I have one, Elvie, since he's recovered from his bladder crap, he started getting constipation.
Oh, so one thing leads to the next. Yeah. So I think it is that underlying. So the stress and other things that are going on, working on the energy, all of that combined.
If you think of constipation, what does constipation mean? There's a blockage, there's stuckness. We gotta shift some things here. We've got to get some things moving. So even things like massage can be helpful. So I gave Elvie a big massage the other day. He has this dry patch on the back of his back. So it's like we need to encourage all those beautiful natural oils to this area. But yeah, I've just done a constipation herb blend for him that does include marshmallow root, yellow dock, and licorice. So yeah, it can be a bit of trial and error, and yeah, working on your own stuff.
Working on your own stuff.
A lot of time animals will present with the same conditions as their pet parents.
I see that time and time again. Just because I talk to my clients about their animals, and they'll say, "Oh, mine's got this," and it's pretty much similar. And I've experienced it with my pets. At the moment, I want to talk about the immune system because I'm struggling at the moment. So I've got a 6-month-old.
I saw that you. Yes, I was very intrigued by what you're doing.
And she, we've had it tested, and so she originally came to us and she had flu. She had some kind of cat flu. She was quite bad when she was found on the street, and it was rain and cold. She was probably just a few weeks old, no, maybe a month old when she was found. Poor little thing.
From her mum, or she's been in a fight on the street. Yeah. And
she just won't recover. She's all energized and fine, but then it will come on every week or every 2 weeks, fever and lots of mucus in the nose. And I'm at my wit's end in terms of how to support her immune system, because the things I thought might work, nothing, just she's not recovering.
Yes,
just not recovering.
For immune systems, and a lot of conditions can be part and parcel of an immune system that's not functioning optimally. And partnered with the immune system is the digestive system. As you would know, 70-80% of the immune cells live in the gut, and it's the same for dogs. Yeah. So if there's an immune condition, it also means attention needs to be had to the digestive system. But with immune, like with all of my treatment plans, I have these things called ACE foods. You've got to include the ACE foods, at least one from each category, every week. So ACE foods are obviously vitamin A, vitamin C, and vitamin E foods. So one food that has a commonality across all of those is sweet potato, the beautiful sweet potato. So you could try that instead of pumpkin. Liver, I think, is also across each of those, A, C, E. I'm pretty egg is vitamin A and vitamin E. I'm going off my memory here, so I don't have it in front of me. But including those foods, because I am an animal naturopath, it's like we've got everything I recommend is natural. Supplementing with vitamin C, sometimes you need more than just the foods, and you do need to supplement. So particularly with your cat who's struggling to get over this flu, she's going to need more than just immune supporting food. So I would be giving her a food-based vitamin C supplement. Now, vitamin C is still quite challenging to get a hold of at the moment because of COVID.
Okay.
When it was going on, it was
everything sold out.
Yeah, when it was at huge levels, like I need vitamin C for my clients, and I can't get it. I could just do my head in. And now some places like my supplier, you can only buy 2 in 1 week. It's like, are you serious? That's a pain in the ass. So anyway, vitamin C, food-based. So that's your things like your Gabinge, your Camu, Kakadu Plum, which is also Gabinge, different name. I think it's Kakadu Plum. There are a number of brands, not that I really want to tell everyone because then you'll all go and buy it and then I won't be able to get any. My favorite is Green Nutritionals. They have a beautiful natural vitamin C supplement. But Eden Health Foods do one as well. Amazonia Raw does one. So either of those are really good natural food-based vitamin C supplements. Antioxidants, I always like to add some green powders. And the more variety, the better. Like your spirulina, your wheatgrass, your barley grass, things like that. Green Nutritionals also do a green blend. Synergy Natural does a green blend, but I don't like their plastic jars. Green Nutritionals use beautiful amber jars, which is one of the main reasons that I love them. And then, you know, there's a bunch. I would just make sure Forest Superfoods is another really good brand that I like. But you want to make sure you're getting these ones that they are organic, or at least that you can be assured that they're not contaminated. So antioxidants with those beautiful greens. Herbs and things, echinacea, immune herb. Astragalus is beautiful immune herb. Cleavers is even good for immune system, and helps with supporting the lymphatic system as well. So that's good to keep things moving.
Okay, yeah.
Lymphatic system. You're already doing a whole food diet, but they're like my first port of call in terms of if there's a weakened immune system, is getting those immune supportive foods in there, supplementing with vitamin C, green powders, and then obviously you can include the foods as well. Like you can, you know, sometimes I give my cats fresh wheatgrass to chew on. Fresh grass, access to fresh grass is really important. Non-contaminated fresh grass, so grass hasn't been sprayed with pesticides. Yeah.
That's good. I'm going to try the ACE foods. So I'm going to definitely try the pumpkin, a little bit of egg. And we just had a question here about tripe, actually.
I saw that come through before. Tripe can be problematic for some animals. It is like organ meat. It can be really, really rich, but green tripe can be quite problematic. So if you're having trouble with it, I would stop giving it. And I mean, the main reason for green tripe is it is a great source, and I'm probably going to get it wrong here. I've got probiotic and prebiotic in my brain. I think it's probiotic, or is it prebiotic? I'm not going to say definitively. It's not something I do include it in my treatment plans as an option for digestive support foods. I just can't remember which pre or pro it is. But there are other things that you can give than green tripe. There's no point continuing to give it if it's causing.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've covered quite a few questions there.
Yes.
And actually, I can see another question there that I just thought, actually, that's common. It's the vomiting in cats after they've eaten. Did you see that? That's actually quite a common issue.
My cat has been vomiting occasionally after her first morning meal, not always. Could it be she's eating too quickly? I feed balanced raw. Okay, well, you say balanced raw. What you think is balanced raw might be different to what I think is balanced raw. So, like anything, it's open to interpretation. So I can't really comment on that. But can
I give you my 2 cents quickly before you go on? What I noticed, when I was feeding my cats a long time ago, but it had just slightly turned. So certain meat that you buy or certain mince that you buy, it turns a little bit. And especially my cat that had cancer, she would vomit. I knew that the meat was just turned. She would vomit straight away. I remember that.
It is really important. And, you know, this is one of the things why so many vets poo-poo a raw diet is the safety of it. If you are buying organic meat, there are no preservatives. You need to get that stuff home from the butcher and you put it in the fridge and then prepare it all and stick it in the freezer. It only lasts in the fridge for maximum 2 days before it starts to turn. So, you know, that is one factor. Has the meat turned? Normally cats are pretty sensitive to these things and won't eat rotting meat. But, you know, that's not necessarily going to be the same for every cat. Also, it depends on how food-driven they are and how hungry they are, right? But with the vomiting, obviously the first things that come to my mind are, is it just because it's a hairball? Have they just, I should show you a picture of a vomit that my Max did the other day, just as I was about to head to Brisbane to go and see clients. So I was like, I'm going to clean this stuff up. I took a picture of it to show my client. This is why I was late. So what Max did, he went out and had grass. And I didn't know, I just assumed it afterwards. There was a tiny bit of a hairball in there, but it was tiny, tiny, tiny. So if they go and eat grass before breakfast, it increases their chances that they're going to vomit because grass acts as a purgative. So keeping an eye on, are they eating grass before breakfast? Maybe don't let them outside until they've had breakfast first. More seriously, so hairballs, grass eating, more seriously, is there some irritable bowel stuff going on? We spoke about rotting meat. Yeah, that is that factor as well. Could it be she's eaten too quickly? Yes, it could be that she's eaten too quickly. So there's a lot of different possible causative factors as to why a cat vomits. And it can signify a serious condition. So I would say you've said occasionally, if you've kind of ruled out the grass, if there's no hairballs in the vomit, check the vomit. I mean, you can't help but check it when you get down on your knees and it's so gross. And it's like you just vomited up all your breakfast that I prepared for you.
My cat once got up on the kitchen bench and drank a little bit of coconut cream. She projectiled everywhere. Oh, I mean, I've never seen anything. It was everywhere, all over the wall. It was crazy stuff.
Gross. Yeah, my cat's vomit was massive. He does these he's like,
oh.
It's like, dude. Lily is much more graceful. She just, yeah, so.
Thank you.
It's going to happen with cats because they get hairballs or they eat grass. Dogs eat grass too and vomit, but not to lessen that, yeah, it could be something more serious than that, but I would just pay close attention because it may just be the grass, hairballs or turned meat. And then if none of that, if you've ruled all of that out and it's still happening, then I would go down to your vet, get them to do some testing, get a diagnosis. If you want natural alternatives to what they recommend that you give, they may recommend antibiotics because they may think it's bacterial. But if they do that, I would say, can you actually do some bacterial testing first, please, before prescribing my cat with antibiotics? Get the testing. If you want natural alternatives in terms of supporting your animal, then reach out to someone like me who can help you with that.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for your time today. I mean, we could be here for another couple of hours because there were so many questions. But I think we'll share your website and you'll have some information on there. And I know you've probably got blog posts written on various things anyway that people can take a look at in terms of transitioning and your freebie, skin issues, those kind of things. I'm sure you've got info, and also you do a weekly Instagram live TV show where you probably aren't
not weekly anymore.
You do that anyway, and it's on your Instagram live TV. They can go back and historically look at a couple that you've got.
Regular. I am meant to put up the next episode this week. However, I don't know yet if that is going to happen because my schedule is like overflowing. So I might be a bit late. That's why I took off weekly from it. It's like I can't commit to weekly.
It's hard. There's lots going on.
There's a lot of other things in there. I'm also doing a survey for pet parents at the moment, if anyone's interested.
Do you want to pop that up? Because I did get lots of questions. I know there were lots of skin questions, itchy skin questions in dogs particularly.
Yes, I did see that like yeast infections, but skin conditions particularly. And I will say the first thing I think of where there's a skin condition is, does a liver need support? Because oftentimes if a liver is not functioning optimally, it will show up in the skin. So yes, so the reason I thought of the pet parent survey is because the last video I posted on Instagram was me talking about the survey. So some people might be interested in doing that because I'm just doing market research around it and looking at how better I can help serve my people, paid or unpaid. But I have put the link. I don't know if it shows up with you, Naomi, or whether it shows up with everyone. I have no idea. But I put the link to the free pet transition plan.
Beautiful.
That also obviously that gives you access to my website. If you want to do the pet parent survey, I can give you the link later, Naomi. But
give it to me later. Yeah, I'll send it out. I'll put the link here and then send it out.
Pages, and it is on my Instagram bio. So if anyone's like keen to do a survey like now, well, you can go and do it. But yeah, there's lots of information on my website. So
Yeah, and from you know, somebody that's had, you know, cats for a long time, I highly recommend, one, just having a look and downloading that freebie, but just taking the time, putting the money aside, and doing, if they're having problems with the raw food, because I know from when I originally started doing raw food, I started doing raw food in 2002, and
Yeah.
when I first started doing it with Izzy, she got a little bit overweight because the ratio, there was nothing out then, but the ratios were out. I had the ratios out. Then I also did kangaroo meat for a while, and I actually think that caused problems with toxicity. I think that actually was something that was
highest levels of E. salmonella and E.
yeah.
I'm combining the two there, salmonella and E. coli and kangaroo meat. Yep.
So at the start, there was a good few years at the start where I was kind of just trying to find the right thing, because there weren't people like you around. So I highly recommend, you know, booking in and doing something like that, because it will save you trouble. And you may think you're doing the right thing, but it can, you know, if you haven't got those ratios right or the right food, it can lead to things down the track. So I really do think that's an important part of this.
And I have services at all different price points as well, like in terms of one-off consults, longer-term programs and things like that. So diet analysis that I can do as well. So, oh, it's cat time. So, oh, lick mummy's face. So yeah, lots of different things at different price points to suit different budgets. And I also, on my bigger like long-term programs, you can do payment plans as well. So there's different
it's worth it, guys. It's worth it, because you will save money in the long run with vet fees. Mine only went to the vet at the end of their lives, you know, with something chronic that, you know, at about 17, 18 years old. So it does pay off. Yeah.
And it's like, unless you've got animals like mine who are rebel.
You need that extra bit of attention.
Yes. Teaching mummy how to do a job better. Yeah.
No, you're doing a perfect job. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on, and I'm looking forward to sharing this more and letting people know, because it's important, and I know people will get a lot out of it. So thanks so much for being here, Ruth.
Thank you.
We'll share your website. We'll share your freebie and anything else anybody needs to know.
Yeah, cool. I think I've even got a link on my page to like the best blog posts to read first.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, I'll see if that is there, and then share you that link too.
Thank you so much. And I think that's it for today. It's been a long one today, so thanks for being here and taking the time.
No worries, Naomi. Have a beautiful day, everybody.
Have a good day. Talk to you soon. Bye.